Hey guys, this is T, and this video is going to be going over my gear list for the Appalachian Trail. I'm not in any particular order. I'm literally going to be grabbing stuff, showing it, and throwing it off to the other side. So first up are my poles. I always have trekking poles. My poles are leaky. These were sponsored to me. Thank you very much. You know who you are. Lightweight, they telescope, so this is what they look like when they're all the way in, and then you can make them as long as you want. They've got cork around the handle, so that helps with not getting blisters on your hands. I have to have poles. My knees start giving me a lot of grief when I go downhill, so I don't care if I'm on a 3-mile hike or a 20-mile hike. I always have my poles with me. Even if I don't use them, they're hanging from my pack somewhere. A headlamp, absolutely vital. These things are amazing, not only if you want to hike before or after dark, but if you're in your tent in the middle of the night and you need to find something, it's much easier to have a headlamp where you have hands-free to be able to do whatever you need to do. So headlamp, absolutely necessary. I can tell you this, I went to use the privy at one of the campsites. I had set up the tent. When I got done at the bathroom, I didn't get lost, but I lost my tent. I could not, for the life of me, figure out where I had put my tent. So that is where the flashlight came in handy, because I had actually left my flashlight turned on in the canopy of the tent, and that's the only way I found my tent, was because I spotted an orange tent with a light on the inside, and I was like, that's my tent. So make sure you have a flashlight and a headlamp. Headlamp most importantly. Gloves, make sure you have gloves. It does get cold, it does get rainy, windy. Gloves are absolutely necessary. When I didn't have my gloves on, they were tucked in to my backpack straps to protect my shoulders, because my shoulders, my straps on my backpack were kind of rubbing. So gloves, absolutely necessary. Net gaiter, I took it, I didn't use it. I could have, the one day that I was on Blood Mountain when it was like windy as all get out and it was raining sideways. I still will take it with me, just because it is good for protection for the sun, for wind, rain, snow. It could still snow. It could still snow up there all the way into May, okay? So be prepared. Net gaiter. You have to bring a little trowel, and this is so you can go to the bathroom in the woods. They ask that you go 8 feet off the trail, and they ask that you dig a hole, at least, I think it's 8 inches. Finding a place to dig a hole where you weren't running into a tree root or a rock proved difficult. But anyway, make sure you have your little trowel, $2.99. Sticking along those same things, I personally take baby wipes. These are just wet ones. So these are good for washing your hands, wiping off your face, wiping your armpits. Let me tell you, you get to stinking out there. You get to stinking, which is actually why a lot of hitchhikers won't pick you up. It's because they know you've been on the trail and you stank. You are allowed to leave toilet paper on the ground or in the ground in Georgia, but in other places on the Appalachian Trail, you are not. You have to carry that toilet paper out. So whether it's a wet wipe or toilet paper, I suggest a very thick freezer Ziploc baggie, one of the gallon size, that you can throw your trash and your soiled wet wipes or toilet paper in. To keep that protected and away from everything else. So freezer Ziploc baggies work like a charm. This little thing is what I put all of the little tiny stuff that I didn't want to have to keep digging around for. So everything is in here, right? So I have my very important hand sanitizer. Take hand sanitizer. The more people that get on the trail, the higher the risk of norovirus starts to show, and a lot of people get it. So washing your hands, hand sanitizer, gotta use it. There's my Leuko tape, what's left of my blister tape, and this little tiny thing of duct tape. So this duct tape is specifically for patching holes in your inflatable mattress, in your inflatable pillow, or if you need to tape anything at any time. So little tiny thing of duct tape. This also has my travel toothbrush in there, and my toothpaste, and some rubber bands. Rubber bands always come in handy. I know I did see one individual putting on deodorant in the morning. In my opinion, I don't know. You're out there on the trail. You're out in the middle of nowhere. Everybody's going to stink. So I personally didn't take deodorant. That's going to be up to you, I guess. I did take Soap. If you take soap, they want it to be all natural. Okay, so no Dial, no Irish Spring, no Camay, no whatever. They want it to be all natural, like homemade soap, that it's not going to harm the environment if it, gets into the water, obviously. So that's what I took. I think when I go back here in a couple weeks, I'm not going to keep it in this container. I'm going to put it in a Ziploc baggie just to save room. Charger. I love this thing. Let me see if it's got any bars left. Yeah, it's got 2 bars left. This is Zendur. It's a Zendur 10,000. And this thing kept my phone charged. I didn't have to actually charge this. I did charge it one night when I stayed at Blood Mountain Cabins because I was there and I figured I'm just going to go ahead and have everything fully charged. So when I got done hiking Saturday morning, this thing still had like 3 bars. And now I haven't used it since then. It still has 2 bars left for charging. So absolutely amazing. It did once fully charge my phone overnight. So absolutely highly recommend Zendur. You can get it on Amazon. Backpack cover for rain. I have a backpack that's an Osprey. So this rain cover, so you see how tiny this is also an Osprey. Make sure that you get one that's waterproof, not just rain resistant. You don't want your gear getting wet. It gets down to the 30s at night, and if anything freezes or if it's that cold, it's not going to have the opportunity to dry. So you really need to have a waterproof cover for your pack. Speaking of that, the one thing that I would take, or that I'm going to take this next time that I go down is, I'm going to take a big poncho. So they have these ponchos, and I saw them, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to need that, but I think you do. So it's the big poncho, absolutely looks ridiculous, but it covers you and it's big enough that it actually goes over your pack. So it keeps you and an extra added layer of protection over your pack dry. So the one day that I got stuck under the rock to get out of the weather for about 2 hours, if I would have had that poncho, I probably would have kept going. I don't mind getting wet, but the tops of my feet were what was getting wet and why I stopped. So the trail didn't have any standing water on it, so I could have kept going, but the rain was coming down and it was actually getting on the tops of my feet. So that is why I chose to stop that morning. But I think with the poncho being so big, that would have added some protection. So I may have kept going that particular morning. And it rains like 4 out of 5 days. I saw rain every day at some point, whether it was early in the morning or it was just kind of misty or it was a really, really thick rain. I always take an emergency sleeping bag. The reason why is because I have the great camping quilts. I'll go over those in a second. But if the temperature was to drop below what I was expecting, and for any reason, I have an extra emergency sleeping bag that I could put on underneath my quilt to help. So I always carry, and look at that. It doesn't take up any room. It's like 2 ounces maybe. So emergency sleeping bag. Again, you can get those at REI. I got this at a mountaineering store up here in Alaska. They ask that you bring a mask. I had it in my backpack, never used it, but they do say that sometimes along the trail you might encounter an establishment that is going to require it. So they do ask that you have it on you. So a mask, a little whistle. It's also got a compass on it and a thermometer, but I broke the thermometer. The compass, great, but you also have a compass on your phone. So this just hangs right on my backpack. Whistle. That's just something I've always carried. Okay, water. I carried 2 water bottles. So this one hung on the side of my backpack with the carabiner. These things are amazing. I don't know, most people have used them if you're an avid hiker. If you haven't, you need to get some of these. They are incredible. You can just hang stuff all over your pack with them. Carabiners. Okay, so anyway, this one hung on the side of my pack. This one went in the side pocket of my pack that I could reach back and grab. And so I would pour from this one into this one, and this is the one I would drink from. If I came to a water source, if this one was still full and this one was below, like about a quarter full, then I would stop and I would fill this one back up with water. If I knew there was going to be water further on, then that's all I would do. I think only one time I filled up both, but you want to go into your campsite with as much water as possible because you're going to be using the water not only to drink, but to cook with, to wash with. So make sure you're going into camp with a lot of water because otherwise you're going to wake up in the morning. And if you're in an area where there's not any water, you're going to be hurting. So That's why I did this, because of the efficiency. A lot of people only took one water bottle, but they're constantly stopping to fill it up. I don't mind the extra weight, so I'm huge on efficiency, and that was a waste of time to stop and fill up one water bottle constantly, because I'm currently drinking about a gallon of water a day, so I had to super hydrate. Water filter system. This is the squeeze water filtration system. This is what I used. What you do is you would take this, put this in your water, fill this up, then take your water filter, screw it on, and then you squeeze the water out into your water bottle. Now, you could just drink right from the bag with the water filter, or if you have a smart water bottle, these actually fit right on the top. So you could fill up that water bottle, screw this right on the top, and then just drink right from there. So I didn't. I chose to fill up the water bottles with it, but this is a really great little convenient, very small, light water filtration system. Do not let your water filter freeze. If it freezes, it is no bueno. It is no good any longer. So at nighttime, I would sleep with this thing. It was either inside between the girls, keeping warm, or is in my pocket. This thing was always on me during the night to keep it from freezing. And then in the daytime in my pack, it was usually warm, so I didn't have to worry about it, but it was up in the top of my pack, usually wrapped in something. So don't let your water filter freeze. That's a no-no. Cooking system. I use the jet boil. I do have a tiny little stove that just fits right in your pocket, but for familiarity reasons and to be compact, because it would have taken up less space, but then you're carrying a pot and other things, where with the jet boil, it's all in one. You can even store the fuel inside. This is your pot that you cook in. So this was just more convenient and more compact. So I did choose the jet boil. The thing I like about it is as it heats up, this thing turns red, so you know when you're almost done. Cooking. My bed pad. My sleeping pad is a Thermarest. It has a 3.1 R value, and you want that. You want an insulated pad, because otherwise you might have a nice pad that is inflatable and you sleep on the ground and it's comfortable, but it's not going to insulate. And the ground gets cold. It gets cold. It gets cold. So not real comfortable. Any sleep that I lost or didn't get wasn't because I was cold. It was because of just being uncomfortable sleeping on the ground. So Thermarest Trail Scout is what this is. It worked really well. I was able to sleep flat on this pad. I didn't have a blanket or anything underneath me. I literally slept right on the pad on the ground, and then I had my quilts over the top. So R value is really important. You want a higher value when you are picking out your gear. Let's go over those quilts then. So I chose to try out, I have a 0 degree bag that I use when I winter camp up here, but I wanted to try these quilts out because I've been hearing a lot of really good stuff about them. So these are 650 Duct down. I have 2 of them. This is the package when it's all pushed in there. It's very super light. 2 of these was still lighter and took up less room than my sleeping bag. So this is what it looks like when it's out. It's very puffy. It fills up with air. And it's super warm, and it's water resistant, which I found out when I spilt water on myself in the tent in the middle of the night. I'm very impressed with these things. I really am. So these are camping quilts. I don't know why they call it a quilt. You know, it's not typically what you would think a quilt is, but it is down and it is super warm. And on the super cold nights, I would use both quilts on the top. So I have 2 of them, and I took 2 for that reason, just in case. So I would lay one and then the other one on top of that, and then I was laying flat on that bedroll. So camping quilts, they're called 4 Monster. You can wash them, they're water resistant. And again, I got them off of Amazon. Inflatable pillow. You know what? I know you could probably sleep on your backpack as a pillow. This Trekology pillow is super compact, super light. And the thing that I like about it is it has this really cool valve where you can actually blow it up with air, and as long as that valve is in the right spot, the air won't come out. So you're not trying to like hold the air in and push this in with your tongue, right? So Trekology was my inflatable pillow. Loved it. Loved it. Worked like a charm. My cooking, I actually didn't use this because since I was traveling by myself, I just ate right out of the bag, right? So I'd pour the water in the bag of the Mountain House or the Packer's Choice that I was using, and then I would just open the bag and I would eat right out of the bag. So I did not use the top or bottom of this dish thing. So the only thing that I used is the cup. It still smells like apple cider. And the fork, spoon, knife combo. So I ended up, because I had a vehicle there, I just took this out of my pack and left this in my pack, and I only took these. So that's gonna have to be something that you figure out for yourself on how you're gonna eat. Are you gonna just eat right out of the bag because you're traveling by yourself? Or, you know, are you traveling with someone? You know, then you're probably gonna want something like this where you can, you know, dish it out. So that's what I did. Again, I'm all about efficiency, and I just ate right out of the bag. And the other stuff that I had didn't need to be served. It was, you know, packaged snacks and whatnot. So I always take hand warmers and toe warmers. So these toe warmers go right on the bottom of your foot. Obviously, I wouldn't wear them during the day, but at nighttime, to put these on the bottom of your feet just added warmth to you. And the hand warmers, I didn't use at all. But to have those as well as a backup, and, you know, very light. I took them. I probably will continue to take them just because I'm a very big what if person. I overthink, overanalyze everything. So I will continue to take those on my journey for sure.